Welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to tell you 5 tips on how you can improve your public speaking skills if you're a beginner or if you have to speak in a language that is not your native tongue. Number 1, embrace your uniqueness. Embrace your accent. Embrace your stutter if you have one. Embrace certain words that you say in certain ways. That's what's going to make you stand out. And there are other people just like yourself out there that might be going through the same thing that you are. So this is more of a mindset thing. Whatever you think it holds you back might be the number 1 thing that makes you stand out. Remember that when it comes to public speaking, because that's the main way you're going to differentiate yourselves from everyone else out there. So embrace that uniqueness that you have, and it makes you different from everyone else. To give you a quick story on this, as you might not be aware or might be aware, English is not my first language. I speak 4 languages and English is one of them. And when it comes to speaking in English, it's never been a really big problem for me, as I've learned English since I was in kindergarten. But when it comes to certain words, I might say them a bit different than everyone else. And in the beginning, I thought that's actually one thing that's gonna hold me back, the fact that I say certain things in different ways. But actually, they were a topic of conversation every time they came up. So in the industry that I've been public speaking now for over 2 years, which is property, there used to be one word that I was always saying completely different than everyone else. And it was just because of an accent thing. So that was developer. Even today, I'm not 100% sure if I put the accent where it's supposed to be. But that was a topic of conversation every time it was coming up because people were inquiring, oh, I think I feel some accent from you. Where are you from? What brought you to the industry? What brought you to UK? So that was actually a topic of conversation because you could feel in the way I was talking, whenever I was saying that word, that it was different from everyone else. It was making me stand out. And I guarantee you that every single person that has dealt with me in that industry remembers me and remembers the knowledge I have on developers and certain things on certain ways on how they can do it because they remember that particular word that I used to say a bit different. Second point is making sure that you're being engaging with the crowd that you're speaking to or at. You don't want to make all the whole speech that you're carrying out. Let's say you're doing a 60 minutes or 90 minutes talk. You want to make sure you don't just talk at people. You want to make sure that you have some engaging questions. Are you with me so far? Does this make sense? Things like that every few minutes, so you make sure that the crowd is still engaging, to make sure that the crowd is still listening to you. No different to when you're saying someone's name, oh, Rebecca, brings their attention back to the conversation. Same thing when you're asking your crowd in front of who you're speaking to, is gonna make them be brought back to the conversation that you are actually having with them, the talk you're actually delivering whenever you're engaging with these types of questions. So make sure you don't just bore the crowd and you just talk at them. Make sure you have some questions in there that makes the whole talk engaging. Now, point number 3 is making sure you make your crowd laugh. You want to tell a joke. If there is something that you can do in regards to your own pitch that you can have a laugh about, do that. Think about a funny story. For example, it was a while back, 1 year ago, I nearly fell on stage, and naturally people were a bit feeling uncomfortable, not knowing if they should laugh or not. And I actually laughed with them, and I actually made a joke out of it, out of me nearly falling on stage, yeah? So make sure that whatever topics you're talking about, you want to make your crowd laugh. And especially right in the beginning of the presentation, if you can say something that makes them laugh and makes them feel comfortable about you, make sure you do that, because there is no better way of you actually building relationship with people that maybe you've never met in your life or you never seen in your life than actually making them laugh and making them seeing you as a normal person as they are as well. So whenever you can add a joke or a funny story into the topic that you're talking about, make sure you do that. Step number 4, watching your tone. What do I mean by that? Watching the speed that you're talking at and watching also the tonality that you're speaking at. Now, maybe you have seen in my previous videos that I'm talking at times super fast, and I actually have to make a conscious decision of slowing down, because my natural pace is to speak very fast, to go straight to the point, to not waste any time. That's how I naturally am as a person. But in order for certain points to have a bigger emphasis and to make a stronger point, part of what I'm trying to teach and what I'm trying to explain, it's better to change your tonality at times, change your speed at times, to make certain points be more noticeable, to make maybe certain pains feel better, to make certain things hit a stronger point home. So every time that you're having a talk or speech, any keynote presentation that you're doing in front of any crowd, make sure you're changing your tonality and your pace, the speed you're talking at, the height and the lows you're talking when it comes to your talk, because that's gonna make the presentation be engaging, no different to the previous point, and it's gonna make people stay more connected, because now the topic sounds interesting. It's got highs, it's got lows, it's got some speed in there. So make sure you implement this every time. Now, one thing I do every time I have to do something new, and this is a big point for everyone, is making sure you practice, and whenever you practice, you record yourselves. The reason you want to do that is because you have to give your own feedback to yourself. It's mega important that you listen to yourself. You watch how you walk, how you move on stage. You want to see if you have, a strong presence on stage, or maybe if you are too relaxed or too sluggish in the way you present yourself on stage. It's absolutely critical that whatever talk you have to deliver, you actually practice before you present it, and you record yourself at home walking, talking, to see if there are certain things you might be struggling remembering in your talk, or maybe that you do not stick to the script that you created for yourself part of that talk. It's also important, especially for people that don't have the English they are presenting into as their main language, it's important that you speak things out loud before you actually present them in front of a crowd. And this is just my own personal experience on that. Certain things might be working and being absolutely spot on and perfect in my head, but if I have to say them out loud, I might be discovering in the beginning that I might be struggling with certain things. Because there is one thing, the speed that the mind goes at, and it's a different thing, the way the mouth is trying to keep up with everything, and how things are actually coming out when you're presenting officially in front of someone else. And also part of the practice, you can make it in front of a friend or a person that wants to see you succeed, because they would be the best at giving feedback. And receiving feedback should be the number one thing that you want to look at, especially if you're trying to improve your public speaking skills. There is so much that you know, and there are other people out there that know a bit more than you, so you should look for feedback, and especially as a person that most probably has personal growth and development as one of their main values. Now, with this being said, I'm really looking forward to seeing your comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe the video if you've enjoyed today's video. Now, if you would like to find out how you can package your own knowledge and start presenting it in front of people, make sure you click on the video suggested here so it can take you through that process as well. Share the love.